Hey, Ronnie Jr.
It looks like you're in your study, which is fantastic, and I love the ravishing blue. Tell me about your channel, and how did you define it as such? Like which topics to cover, et cetera, et cetera.
I just thought that I loved doing what I did back in 2011, which was pop culture news through the website called Dose Lives that I used to work for, and I used to write about pop culture, and I used to go to red carpets, and I used to review music and stuff, and I thought, why can't I just do this on camera? And I was kind of afraid to do it, so I was basically talking about makeup and stuff like that, knowing that at that point, not a lot of guys were talking about makeup, and then I started to have real conversations with my watchers, which were like 100 at the time, but I'm like, look, you gotta make it work. Like, it doesn't matter how many people are watching you, it matters about the message that you have. And I just giving like side conversations about pop culture, and everyone was like, I want to hear more about that. I'm like, whoa, this is the root of what I wanted to do. Let me just do it. And then I did it, and I made sure to just to be myself and not try to like make myself look a certain way. And then it just took off over the next few years.
I think you touch on something that's so exciting. And for me, obviously, I could chat with you for years and years about all pop culture stuff. But today, I felt like I wanted to use this particular aspect of my channel to do like, you know, the who, what, where, and why. What interests me about what you said a second ago was, because I relate, as soon as you said it, you said, I wrote, but sometimes when you write, you don't get to evoke certain emotions. I'm not sure if those were your exact words. And I've always felt that, because I don't mind writing also. 152 years ago, I wrote for Holly Scoop when Holly Scoop was barely starting, Diana McPapian, Diana Madison. And I always enjoyed it. Let me tell you, I did. But to your comment a second ago, there's something so freaking intriguing about having more of a connection by being able to just speak in a certain narrative, not even narrative, but a certain tone, you know, and we know that that is infectious to an audience because Wendy Williams is one of the best at it. Whether she says crazy things, that's a different story, but she has a way of drawing you in. I always credit Wendy because she'll give you this crazy point of view and introduce a topic, and she'll lean right into the camera, and she'll put her hand up or something, and she'll be like, and I'm going to tell you why. And I think sometimes I've learned, this is just recent, maybe even as I've been communicating with you, Sanders, I have learned that they are so different, you know, and I used to not think that way. I've come from the world of radio, so I thought radio is very similar to how I will get into the YouTube podcast space, and is very similar to writing, or, you know, I've taken improv classes in the past. It's not the same. It's not the same. So I think that is so cool that you put all the vulnerability at the very beginning of this with your 100 followers, and we're like just kind of chipping away to find what works.
Yeah. And I agree with what you're saying about like you get to put a tone with it. And there's times where I can say a lot more with just a facial expression than I do saying something.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like I don't have to say
that was a little bit of a lean back. That was a lean back.
Like, okay. Yeah. So you just go with that, and a lot of people can read between the lines when it comes to video, but when they're reading it on paper, it's hard to read between the lines, and they don't get your punchlines, and they don't get your jokes sometimes because they're so involved looking for the message in the writing, then they're overlooking a few things. So you can really point out what you want your audience to focus on the most. So I think that's what like really counts for me. Before I even jumped on camera, I was doing interviews with Meryl Streep and Taylor Swift and Denzel Washington and Kerry Washington and all these people on red carpets for their movie premieres for the website that I was working for. So when people would be like, you're not a journalist, it's like, okay, I didn't graduate from college with a degree, but a lot of people who graduate from college with a degree and works in the business for 2 or 3 years still can't get on a red carpet to save their life.